Hey there, WellHouse Church. Good morning. I'm excited to be with you again. I know that you are enjoying your time of fellowship and formation, but why don't you go ahead and grab some coffee and some food and join me for our time of teaching. I'm really excited for where we're at in this series and what I feel like the Lord is doing in our community as a whole. As we've been looking at these parables, we've seen a whole lot about the ethic of Jesus and what Jesus is asking of us and what it means to live a reality of the kingdom of heaven here on earth. And as I was thinking about these last, few weeks of all these things that we've looked at, one of the things that keeps sticking out to me is the value of the kingdom of heaven. There are a lot of things in this world that we think have value. Our jobs are valuable. Our relationships are valuable. Our finances, our possessions, our homes, our cars. There are a lot of things in this world that we ascribe value to. But one of the things that I'm most interested in is the question, is there anything so valuable that we're willing to give up everything for it? Because that's our story today. It's this really interesting story where Jesus tells a parable, and the end-all, be-all is about the value of the kingdom of heaven. And I'm puzzled by this question of, is there anything in life that we would give everything for? Some of you here might be saying, yeah, I would give up everything for my wife or my spouse, or I would give up everything for my children. There are a lot of things that we can sit back and go, oh yeah, I'd give up everything for this. Some of you might be saying, I'd give up everything for my job. Like my job is everything to me. What does it mean and what does it say about us that there are things that we're willing to give up everything for, that this thing is the end all be all and we give up everything for it? It says that our identity is found in that thing. So what does that mean when we look around us and we look at our things, or we look at the things that we have or we like, and we say, you know what, I would give up everything for that? And my question is your that the kingdom of heaven? Would you give up everything for the kingdom of heaven? Because in this parable this morning, in this story today, it seems to be what Jesus is communicating, is that the value of the kingdom of heaven is worth giving up everything. This is in Matthew chapter 13, single verse 44. Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. And then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. So Jesus tells this story and he says, hey, the kingdom of heaven, this thing that I've been telling you all about, it's like a treasure that somebody hid in a field. And when it was hidden in a field, someone found it. And when they found it, it's not something that they just grabbed and took back to their existing life. But they said, no, I'm going to bury it here in this field where I found it. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to sell. I'm going to get rid of everything about my old life. and I'm going to bring that to the table, and I'm going to buy this field with the treasure in it. Because this treasure is so valuable that it's worth everything. That it's not something that I can take back to my old life. Because if you've ever noticed, you ever seen somebody win the lottery? Rarely do they take that money, do they take those winnings, do they take that and just put it over their existing life? Actually, in fact, most people that win the lottery end up filing for bankruptcy within 12 years after winning the lottery because they don't have a system for how to deal with the treasure. Because they take it and they create a new life with it. But it's not one that's wholesome. It's not one that's healthy. Because treasure or value is not something that we take and put back onto what we have. Treasure or value is something that gives us a gateway into a new life. It gives us a gateway into a new experience. And so Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like treasure. It's valuable, and it's of the most value. There's nothing more valuable in this world than the treasure of the kingdom of heaven. And somebody hid it in a field. It exists around us. The kingdom of heaven exists around us. If we search for it, we can find it. And when we find it, Jesus says that our job is to bury it where we found it. And go back and get rid of everything of our old life. Come back and buy the field of the treasure. Because the kingdom of heaven is not something that we can take and just lay over our old life. Our old life is full of pain and suffering and hurt, depression, and treachery, betrayal. Our old life is littered with baggage. You don't want to bring your baggage with your treasure. You don't put your treasure over that. No, the kingdom of heaven is something wholesome. It's healing. It's valuable. And so when we find the kingdom of heaven, we say, no. That old life, that pain, that suffering, no. I'm leaving that behind. That's for the dogs. I'm leaving that back. And I'm headed forward in the value of Jesus Christ. And so today I want to ask you, there are things that we each hold on to from our old life, whatever that may be. If you're a Christian today, an identified Christian, you have pain that we haven't let go of. We have hurt that we haven't healed from. There are things from our old life that still exist in the shadows. And we need to come together and say, you know what? The kingdom of heaven is more valuable than that. The kingdom of heaven paid for that debt. The treasures of Jesus on the cross are bigger than that pain and that hurt. And then if you're not a believing Christian today and you're watching this, I want you to know that that pain that you have, that hurt that you feel, those questions, those insecurities, there's value to you. And Jesus is valuable. The kingdom of heaven is a place of healing. It's a place of wholeness. It's a place of restoration. It's a place where we can leave that pain behind and run to the King of grace. And so if you're here watching with us today, or you're by yourself after the fact, I want you to know that you are loved and that there's value in the kingdom of heaven, that the pain and struggles that we have from our old life, the treasure of the kingdom of heaven, are worth so much more than that. And so I want you to know that there's hope. There's hope for your despair. There's hope for where you are, because the kingdom of heaven is like valuable treasure that we change our entire lives around, because Jesus is worth changing our lives. We change our lives around the kingdom of heaven because Jesus changed our lives. And so my questions for us today, I want us together to contemplate. Where's our pain? Where do we need to explore healing and restoration in the value of Jesus, the King of grace? And the other question I want to ask is, what are we not giving up? What are we holding on to out of fear that the treasures of the kingdom of heaven might not be enough? Because I promise you, King Jesus is more valuable than your pain and suffering. If you're ready to experience grace, I want you to know that the kingdom of heaven is like treasure buried in a field where we give everything up for a new experience of life, restoration,